And indeed, it's been. I'm sure that it's been a long journey, and each and everyone has used this uh, approach to digitize the language. Some have done it on Wikipedia. Some have been doing research. For instance, Adongo Aire has written books and has drafts which we are yet to even see. And all these are ongoing. There are people who have done a research, their masters and all that. Just a quick just introduction. We just have some 5 minutes to begin. So we have our two speakers here. That's Adongo Ayere and Bien Chichobu. Our third speaker will be joining us. He's in the meeting. When he's done, he'll join us here, and we continue having the discussion about digitizing the Gurene language. What has been the journey so far, and what has been the successes, what have been the challenges, and what's the way forward to all these things. And I'm sure that individually people might have contributed their own way, and as a group too, we also have things to offer. Just a few ground rules. We have the chat box. So the chat box, when you look on your screen or your phone, there's a three dot which you can just tap on it to see the chat box to send you a message. I'll be keenly reading the messages. So if you have questions for any of the speakers on what they've done, if you have a thought to share on a particular question, feel free and just notify me in the chat box. Just notify me in the chat box. So the chat box again is that kindly look at your phone screen. If you're using a phone, look at the phone screen. There are three dots. Tap on it and look at the calling the in call messages. Tap on it and send in your questions, your contributions. Also, if you want to speak, just prompt me over there. I'll put you on the waiting list. Then I'll just mention your name. Then you share your thoughts with us. So a few ground rules again. When one speaker is sharing his or her thoughts, kindly stay mute. Our videos can be on. I will be turning on my videos soon, and our microphones mostly needs to be on. We are recording a session too, to assist future discussions because we'll be having series of conversations. Aside today's own, we'll also be looking at conversations with individuals who would have carried out research work on us as a people, on things relating to us. So, for instance, people who in their undergrad who might have gone out to do a research on, let's say, perhaps on farming, and they published it. We can hold a session like this where we have colleagues, we have the researchers, we have other people here to help us understand your work. And all these is meant to push and make us understand our language better as a people and as people of different dialects, as people of the same body and from the same clan, from the same ethnic group, and the same geographical location. So that is what we are looking at today. And in brief, I will be introducing our guest for today, and they have interesting bios which you wouldn't want to miss out. First of all, no, not in ranking order, but let me start with Shitobu, which you've seen mostly on the page. Shitobu is the co-founder of Gurenɛ Wikimedia Community, and interestingly, Shitobu doesn't speak Gurene. Shitobu speaks Dagbani, but then Shitobu has an interest in making sure that the the brother and the brothers and sisters of this language are able to digitize the language and make it better and develop it. So he's been supportive, assisting technical wise, project wise, trainings and all that. Shitobu has been with us from the beginning of the Gurene Wikimedia community to now, and he's been so supportive immensely. Shitobu also is with the Dagbano Wikimedia community, which is a sister group Gurenɛ Wikimedia Community. So you could see the link here. So the Bani Gurene, and we are progressing. We also have another sister group called the Mori Community. So slowly we are looking at the more the Bani languages and helping digitizing them in a way that will make us as a group better, improve on it, and make sure that nothing is lost. We have a second person on our guest, which I initially mentioned. That is, I know his spelling is Ayire, and he pronounces it as Ayire. And I always say that anytime he pronounces it, I have to get a correct pronunciation because I thought it was Ayire, but he says it's Ayire. And he has an interesting profile. So, uh, Mr. Emmanuel Ayire Adongo is a public health specialist, the CEO and the founder of Ayire Clinic, and a writer in the Gurene language. He's also a gospel musician with two albums, a father with four children, and he's been doing so much. There's lots of drafts in relation to Gurene. And he's currently the regional coordinator for Sub-Saharan Africa for World Child Center, a World Child Cancer, where he coordinates activities on childhood cancer management in Ghana and programs in other African countries. And this is some of the works that Mr. Dong has published in relation to Gurene. Now he published his first book in Gurene in 2002 and revised it in 2003. And I'm sure most of you might have used it. He has several unpublished books in Gurene, including the following. So he has unpublished though, not he's not published them yet. These are in draft and yet waiting for finalization. So he has a book on Gurene proverbs. He has a book on the anatomy and physiology in Gurene. He has the names and their meaning in Gurene and in English. The fourth one is that he also has a book on the numerical system in Gurene and English. The fifth one is that he has the third edition of the Gurene English Dictionary. And I'm sure we all can't wait to have all these books. And he has also the Catholic hymnal in Gurene. And this is someone. So always ask the question that why didn't he go into Gurene full time? But his background and what he does, keeps amazing me and keeps inspiring us to do more because while these works of individuals are ongoing, we need to look at the broader conversation and ask ourselves that what can we do to leverage on this existing knowledge, improve on it, and make it better. Now, let's look at the academic qualifications of Mr. Dongo. Mr. Dongo has a certificate in state registered nursing, advanced diploma in public health nursing, a BSc in nursing, postgraduate diploma in public health management, an LLB, and a master's in public health. And this is like really, really a lot. Moving from meeting people who are not Brunei speaking language to meeting someone who has a different background, different training. And I look at the academic qualifications, you don't even see something like, okay, a Brunei student here, a Brunei student over there. But this are the kind of people we have here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and welcome Adongo Emmanuel Ayire and DN Shitobu for joining us today. The conversation should be around what has been the journey so far, what is the story, and what is the essence of digitizing the Gurene language on any kind of medium, especially on Wikipedia. I'll be your moderator for today, and if you have questions, if you have contributions, kindly use the chat box. Click on the three dots if you have it on phone, and just let notify me if you have any conversation, if you have something to say, so we are able to coordinate the contributions in this session. We'll be doing this in the next hour and a quarter, and we hope we'll have a fruitful discussions. Now, to begin with this, um, this is to the just to all of us that what is the essence of digitizing the Gurene language? What is the essence of digitizing the Gurene language? We can begin from Adaboro Evans. Our guest speakers are here. They are going to give us a lot. But whilst we are going to tap from them, we would want to hear from us as participants on these virtual discussions too. So Adaboro Evans, why do you think we need to digitize Gurene? Okay. Amwa Gilbert. You can unmute yourself. Then Akande Emmanuel. Okay. Then we move on to, okay, Gilbert, can we hear from you?
Good evening to us all.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Today is my first time of joining our discussion on Zoom. Uh, I would like to thank God for all that He has done. At least we have not done much, but I think there is a lot ahead of us. And looking at what has happened so far, I think we are on course. There is the need to digitize the Gurene language because as time goes on, things change. And as things do change, we as individuals or maybe native speakers of the Gurene language have to update ourselves and upgrade ourselves to the international standard. I can say we have so many things. We have our culture is in diverse ways, and it is not forthcoming because we don't have them on our documents, and they fade out as decades pass by. And there's the need for us to digitize our language and to also update ourselves, at least, so that when anybody goes to the net and there is something there in our language, the person can read about it and know. If the person will not even know much about our culture, the person will know something small, and it will help us as a growing language, or let me say a developing language, because we are still in the process. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. And that's from Gilbert. I can, okay, I think I moved Akande. I think Mavia Valon is on the line too. So, can we hear from you? Why do we need to digitize the Gurene language? What's the essence?
Yes. Okay. So good evening to you all.
Good evening.
And, uh, yes. So I just want to add to what our brother just said. Uh, I think the need to digitize the language is to help preserve it so that we will have we will have it as long as for reference purposes we can always refer to it other than uh, let me say the current situation where when you are looking for something or you are searching for some information, it's difficult to come by. So, for instance, as part of your introduction, you made mention that one of our resource persons has written books. So, when we help digitize the language, for instance, one of the books which I'm obviously interested in, the names and their meanings the proverbs in the Gurene language, I can easily go online, search for it, and then make references.
Mm.
So I think this is one reason there is the need for us to digitize the language. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we go on to our first speaker for today, Adongo Imano Ayire. And there's been some references to you concerning the books. And even an interest shown here that the one interested in is the names and the meanings, and the other ones that are yet to be published. You published your first dictionary, Gurene Dictionary, in 2002, and revised it in 2003, and even have an unpublished Gurene Dictionary English, Gurene English Dictionary, which will be coming out soon. What inspired you to go into such a field to develop a Gurene English Dictionary?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
So, interestingly, I was born and bred in the Upper West. So, the first time I saw Upper East with my own eyes was in 1990. When I came in, I was born in Upper West, and then I came in 1990. And luckily, my parents were the type that to teach you to know your native language. So I was fortunate to be able to speak, but not very fluently as one born in the region. But then when I came in, uh, I I had this natural feeling of learning and understanding my own language well. But unfortunately, I couldn't find any material. And they weren't also teaching the language in the school. I came and joined in junior high too, and they weren't teaching the language in the school. So it meant that I didn't have the opportunity to learn more of the things I wanted to be able to learn. So I had this vacuum in me, which I really wanted to fill. So all efforts to be able to do that, it wasn't just possible.
Mm.
So
Um, so, Sorry, can you unmute again? And yes, Mr. Dongo, can you unmute? Oh, okay. You're not able to. Uh, okay. Yes, you should be able to. Think I rather.
okay,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Loud and clear.
Okay, good. So I was just saying that I don't know where I actually got to because yeah. So I was just saying that I joined the church and I was reading in church. That's where I learned most of my words. And then, so when I couldn't find adequate material, I was worried and disappointed because I felt that many more people should have documented things, written stories in the language, and all that. Then I was asking myself, so why is it that we have learned persons as Gorohe, and yet we don't have enough material? Honestly, I was disappointed myself. Then when I got to SS, the same thing, but then I was now focusing more on my education. Then I completed, and then I got to nursing. So I continued even in the hospital. People found it difficult to explain some of the health conditions in the local language because people will come and you are expected to talk to them in the native language about the conditions and all that. So there was a problem there too. So, and then I hear people say, oh, it's difficult. I can't read Gurene. And people are proud to say that, as if that is even something to behold, that your own language you cannot read. And then people are proud to even say that, oh, this one there in Gurene, I will not be able to say it well. And you are a gronger. So it was so disappointing. Then and it felt that people were not proud to be who they are, and was a war me. And I found that the language was very rich, the culture was very rich, and we have a rich heritage. So why is it that we are not proud of it? So then, concerning the non-availability of the material, then I told myself that probably so many people asked the same question and no one started doing anything. That is why up to date we don't have the materials. And if I also ask these same questions and I don't start, then it will be the same story. Somebody else will come and say the same thing and we'll be at the same level. So I started, though I didn't have money, I didn't have the resources to publish it. I started documenting them. I said, let me just start. A journey of a million miles starts from one. So I started documenting them one by one and then translating it into English and all that. And I remember one of my colleagues told me that I'm crazy. That how can you, I'm from Bongo, so I mean, nobody, do you think it's just a child's play to publish a book? You are just wasting your time. I said, yes, it's my time that I'm wasting. It's not yours. Let me waste it. So I continued writing. Then I got to nursing in Bolga. I continued, and fortunately, in I went to nursing in '97 and continued my writing. And I used to ask a lot of the elderly about some of the words. I tried to find out where the words originated from, and then, for instance, the sonko. I started asking, so where from that word? Where from that word? I'll ask until I'm able to get the word. For instance, the sonko, it means disonko. So they use that thing to eat disonko. That's how the word came into being. So the sonko. So most of them, I mean, it was becoming more interesting as I discovered the root of most of the words. Then I continued, and then I I felt that anatomy, even in Gurene, we should be able to come out with all the various subjects in the language and should be able to document, write them completely in Gurene. And that would have revolutionized the language, and that would have accelerated our academic performance. So you can imagine if we have a complete anatomy and physiology, then you realize that if our people are able to use this and they understand the corresponding names in the language, it will be easier for people to know biology in Gurene. So their performance in even the English subject will be better than any other tribe. And you can imagine if we're able to write maths completely in Gurene, if we're able to come out with chemistry completely in Gurene, I mean, physics, then our science and tech will be made much easier for us. If we're able to come out with geology completely in Gurene, then what else can't we do? And that is the way to go. So if my comparative advantage is in science, is in the anatomy and physiology, then let me do it. So I started. Then uh, so I started working on all those things. So about the dictionary
Mm-hmm.
in 98, fortunately, the University of Ghana, led by Prof. Dakubu, who is a white lady married to a Ghanaian, led the team to Bolga for a workshop, and they mobilized all the Gurene authors or writings. Let's say the Catholic, then you have Gilbert as the Ghana Institute of Linguistics, Language and Bible Translation,
Mm-hmm.
then based in Zuarongo, and then other religious Methodists, those who were translating in Gurene, and then Adongo from the Volga parish, and then all of them. So they all came together, and then the Gurene scholars. So and then with Dr. Tuntono and then Avia, so they all came, and I saw them, and then we had Golda, Gurene Language Development Association, which was active then. Fortunately, I stumbled onto the secretary in the bank, and I saw the title. Interesting as I am, that's what I wanted. So I confronted him, and he introduced me to their people. That's how come I got to know about this workshop they were organizing. And they were organizing it to bring all together because they had a draft, and they wanted the team to edit and add on, build onto the word list. Then it was a word list. It wasn't a dictionary. I was working on a dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought my materials to the workshop and then showed them, and it was a valuable asset for the team. So they used most of my words, and because I was already working in the found was very, very good because I did a very good research on the anatomy and physiology. I contacted the biasi.
Mm-hmm.
They knew most of the names of the bones, and I contacted the butchers. So they know most of these terminologies. That's how come I was able to compile the distance very well. And then the herbalists. So they really were very, very instrumental. So I went across even to the Ninkane area. They also have preserved most of the words. So that's how I was able to compile it. And then Avia was very helpful. He edited the material. And then Monsignor Abotuyure then loved me so much because of my love for the culture. He gave me a lot of papers. I was writing in papers. Several of them I'll write, they will edit, and then I will go and dump it and write fresh ones. It wasn't easy. And
Yeah.
then I was doing that and also researching into the calendar system of our language. That has also been poorly developed, and I learned a lot from the calendar system as well. And then I was also working on the numerical system, and that wasn't an easy task
Mm.
in getting to thousand getting to 2,000, 10,000, 1 million, 2 million, 2 billion, to trillion, to quadrillion. It wasn't easy breaking that in terms of the numerical system and then the monetary counting system. That is very complex in our language in terms of the use of the pongo and all that, the kwabga, and then and then tohre. Somebody will say tohre, meaning but it's a shortcut. So what is tohre? But when you come to the actual numerical system, tohre is actually 1,000. But when you come to the monetary system, they're saying tohre. It is not the 1,000 numerical system. It's actually yolu tohre. So all these things are just too interesting, and I really learned a lot. I learned a lot in carrying out that research to populate the dictionary. So the dictionary that I compiled and published in 2002 was actually a collection of words and their meaning in Gurene. Then it had the calendar system, which I was able to validate and published it in that dictionary. And then also the numerical system, which I was able to compile up to a quadrillion in the language. So I have the monetary counting system and the numerical counting system figured out in there. So the I revised it again and then published. So the calendar was there, and then the time referencing was another interesting thing I did. So let's say when you are counting today forward and then today backward, this is so confusing up to date. People are not able to understand it very well. So let's say Zina, Bere. People say Dare, but that is wrong. When you say Dare and you don't add anything, you are actually counting backwards. So in our system, we add Sanga. And then when they are speaking, they want to make a shortcut, they say Sang. So our people have a very interesting way of making these words shortcut. So you say Zina, Bere. If you want to qualify that very well, you say Be Sa'an. So you see that there's a shortcut there. Instead of Bere Sanga, it's Be Sa'an. Then you have Da Sa'an or Dar Sanga. So it's a Dar Sanga. They made Da Sa'an. Sanga is time.
Okay.
In our distance, but you realize that people like using time, but time is English. But the actual terminology in Gurene is Sanga. So Da Sa'an, which is the Dar Sanga. So, and then Dayeta Sa'an, Datata Sanga. You see, Data Antare, the Antabesa. So you'll be able to count up to about 7 days and beyond.
Wow.
So when you add the Sanga, then you are counting ahead. When you are counting backwards, you don't add the Sanga. Like Dayeta, Dayeta Mbalata Arawa. So you are counting backwards about 3 days ahead. You see, so I was able to figure out this one too nicely and published it in there. So in our grammar, because nobody is looking at it, we don't use it frequently. We are messing it all up. And because even our own elders do not know the grammar, nobody corrects you. And then it continues. But we have all these things neatly spelled out, which we are not using, and we are just messing it up a whole lot. So that is what I was able to do. And interestingly, even though the community radio people try to do something, but None of them have been able to pick up this and look at it very well. But what I produced in that book, if people are able to look at it critically, you realize that is a great asset for our people.
Wow.
So that is about the dictionary. Unfortunately, GES was able in Bolga was able to procure them for their schools in Bolga, but unfortunately, I don't know whether it's because of politics or whatever reason. My own district, the Bongo district, did not procure those books, but I was able to make progress in Bolga, where they bought a lot of them then, and then shared them to their schools to use.
Mm.
So, and currently, even the second edition are out of stock, and I haven't actually requested for printout. One, because when you print them and you bring them out, the 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 the, the I mean, people don't procure them that much. So, and you just get your money coming in. So it's not motivating to print more actually, unless maybe if there's a demand, let's say people are demanding about 200, and so I can print and add some on top. But just printing and putting them on bookshelves is not motivating enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
then the other factor too is that I'm working on the third edition, and I have the numerical system separated, and I have the dictionary itself, which I'm doing into detail with sentences. So that is the current state, and that is the history of the dictionary. So that one came before the Winneba dictionary came into being. So my dictionary, fortunately, was the first to be produced in the area.
Area. This has been a history,
Yeah.
and it is so immense. Looking at where it began into the association, the Golda, then coming, bringing into existence the Gurene dictionary, and the progress made. Here, we get to understand that before we digitize the language, that means we need researchers. We need people to go onto the ground to gather information, process them. We need the historians to come together to get us the content and to get us the right content before the digitization can even happen. And whilst you were sharing this history with us, there was no feedback from the participants. DN Chitobu said that these are interesting revelations. Amwa Gilbert said these are very touching and really interesting. So Akande said these are really interesting, and DN Chitobu comes again and says that you're an inspiration, a health-born Boeing writing, particularly digitizing the Gurene language. You actually delved that deep. That's awesome. That's awesome. Then Amwa Gilbert comes again and says very inspiring. Then the comments, move on to say that you really have much love for our language, Gurene. So this means that the individual efforts matching together with other people's efforts helps bring Gurene language to a certain point. And even the history here again about the white lady. I'm using the white lady here intentionally, using a white lady, someone not from, not being a Gurene native, not from our place, but having an interest in documenting our language means a lot. So if we are natives of the language, what are we doing now to support it? And an example, he is not a white man, but he is a dark man like me. Not to say that white men are not Gurene natives. And we have been joined by Paul Azore, and he earlier I introduced him and said that he was going to join us later in the second half of the meeting. So Paul Azure is the co-founder of the Ghana NLB, and he's joined us, and he will be sharing with us what has been his work so far in digitizing the Ghanaian language. But going back to D.N. Shitobu, which I earlier introduced to say that he speaks Bagbanli, but then he says that he's going to channel his efforts in digitizing
Yeah, po
Gurene.
abogore,
Yes,
abogore.
yes, I'm
Before
listening.
you continue,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Paul's surname is Azure. His surname is Azure, not Azure.
Azure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, there's an N. Azunre, yeah, there's an N there.
Azure. I think whenever I come for these meetings, I need to let people pronounce their own names because here because we have indigenous people, more indigenous people than I am. All right, thank you so much for the correction. So,
Yeah, his father is my paternal uncle. So
oh,
uh, I'm very familiar with him. And
okay, Azure. I think when I come here,
surprisingly
I'll be
from
used to make
Bongo Soin.
each and everyone pronounce the surnames right. Oh, okay, that's really beautiful. Yeah, thanks so much. And welcome, Paul Azure. We will do an introduction a bit, and then also we'll be hearing from you shortly. So the conversation is about digitizing Gurene language. What has been the journey so far? And we would want to hear from BNC Tobu, who is the co-founder of the Gurenɛ Wikimedia Community, and to share with us what has been the journey so far and what inspired him. Someone who sees Dagbanli to say that he wants to digitize Gurene. So we'd like to hear from you, BNC Tobu.
All right, thank you so much. For the sake of bandwidth, I'll just keep my camera off, but at the appropriate time, I'll turn it on so that my voice could be heard. Thank you so much, Mr. Ira Dongo. I really enjoyed your presentation. In fact, I was really amazed at the depth at which you went to get some of these words, trying to find the genealogy of the words, where they come from. And in fact, it was actually a thorough research you did. Thumbs up to you. And I say a very welcoming greetings to everyone on the platform. Mr. Bugre, he has not introduced himself well. He is also a co-founder of the Gurenɛ Wikimedia Community, then a journalist. Then I think we have our co-speaker too, uh, Mr. Paul Azunre, right? I think I'm mentioning it right now. Okay, so
Yeah.
with our part of okay, Abure, you wanted to come in?
Oh no, please, you can continue. Sorry.
Okay, so all right, thank you. So with our part of digitizing the Gurene language, we got the snippets from the UNESCO report, the 2017 UNESCO report, that says that out of the 7,000 languages existent on Earth, um, 700 languages are fast pacing to extinction. Now, the question we asked ourselves was, what are these languages? Because they didn't mention some of these languages, they just gave a generalization. So, out of curiosity, we thought it wise that who knows, some of these are northern languages could be one of them. Uh, we'll have the Modi Dagbani languages, which is made up of about 16 different languages. So the Wikimedia or Wikipedia platform originally Dagbani currently is has gotten its own Wikipedia where you can go and read content in Dagbani, search for content in Dagbani, and you get feedback in Dagbani. We've got the Tree Wikipedia, we've got the Ewe Wikipedia, we've got so many other language Wikipedia, up to about 300 languages. So how about the other northern languages? So out of design thinking, the leader of the Gurenɛ Wikimedia User Group, Mr. Sadiq Shahadu, thought it wise that it was time for us to get the Gurene language into the incubator. At the incubation stage, this is where you get volunteers who are going to help in writing content in that particular language, just like we incubate eggs for them to hatch. So we are currently in the incubator trying to put content together. And when the team is satisfied with the content we've organized, then they will give us a fully fledged Gurene Wikipedia, just like we have English Wikipedia, Ga Wikipedia, Swahili Wikipedia, Portuguese Wikipedia. You can mention them, more than 300 different languages. So we are yet to join these 300 plus languages. So at the moment, when that idea came, Mr. Sadiq Shahadu called on me to join Mr. Abugure to provide technical support and also assist in getting community members, offer training support to people who need them. And basically, that's what we've been doing. We started somewhere in October last year, but the actual journey started somewhere in July. But we started with translation. Thanks so much to members of the Gurenɛ Wikimedia Community. Let me mention names here: Mr. Ayire Adongo, Akakiri, Akonaba, and a whole lot. In fact, they did very well. They did excellent job in helping us translate the medium was used wiki statements up to 100%. And this is one of the requirements of Wikipedia for you to get a language Wikipedia. Because if you say you want a particular language Wikipedia, let's say Gurene Wikipedia, where all the buttons are still in English, then virtually you've not done anything. It's just like reading from the English Wikipedia. So we started with the translation of the uh, media use statement. After that, we again train members on how to write on the incubator. The incubator currently have very relaxed rules as compared to the English Wikipedia that have got strict rules. But that's still notwithstanding, some of the rules in the incubator still holds. One of the community is getting community members involved. Like Mr. Abugri mentioned, I am not someone who can speak Guruni, but because all northern languages are mutually intelligible, I understand Guruni when someone speak their language, but how to speak Guruni as in proper Guruni, I will not be able to. But if the words are mentioned, because we are all from kind of the same grandfather, or we are from the same Woli Dagbani belt, we seem to have some common tongue, like some common words running through. Let's say Alahare. In Dagbani, we say Alahare. In Gurune is something similar. In Dagbani, we say Akani. In Gurune is something similar. Most of the words that we have in Dagbani are virtually the same or slightly different in Gurune. So if this is the case, then we can easily offshot from the Dagbani Wikimedia projects. What they have done, if we replicate them and also add our own initiatives, we are going to come out with a very good um, language Wikipedia. So basically, the journey so far is that we trying to get more volunteers because it is easier with more hands. And the most difficult thing of voluntary service in Ghana here is that people feel like they need to be paid virtually for everything that they do. But come to think of it, you want to someone has given you a free platform. You are not paying for domain service. You are not paying for website management, blah blah blah, a whole lot. Now digitize your own language there, so that it shall not go into extinction. Then still is a great problem for most of us. So I just want to encourage community members to uphold the spirit of volunteerism, especially in this instance where we have to put our language online, because one of the recommendations UNESCO gave about digitizing languages that or preserving languages was that if the language is preserved on the internet, at least it will live till judgment day. It will live till judgment day here means that even if the last speaker of the Gurene or any other language dies, at least there will be videos, there will be audios, there will be words and their meaning of that particular language online. And there's always this saying that you can break part of the internet, but you can never break down the whole internet. There is no way we can have a total blackout with the current number of servers that we have. If one is shut down, 1,001 hidden servers would come up with the same data because they are backed up everywhere. So this is a golden opportunity for us, and we've had to tread the mill with community members. I've had to travel to Bolga for so many occasions. The announcement will be made on the platform for me to get to Bolga and get some community members trained. Lo and behold, you get there, then you meet like 4, 5 people, 7, 10 people. Sometimes so disheartening, but a young community like ours, it is obvious and it's understandable. And I see that community members are even doing very well, especially with the pace at which they are learning. It is something that is commendable because if you look at the Dagbani community, though we had so many numbers, but we had very little or we have very few people picking up the technical skills or getting their way around in the very shorter days that when we started the Dagbani Wikimedia user group. But my judgment with the Gurene community is that the few people I have met, the few people Abure has also trained, the few people we have all joined hands to kind of share one or two with, they are picking it so fast. And it's like something uh, they've learned in school already. But I see it to be that energy of let me put my language on the internet. That is that spirit that is driving them and making them learn so fast. So I just want to say a very big thank you to the community members, and I want to encourage them to keep doing their best because until we get the language fully digitized, just like Mr. Ira Adongo mentioned, he started with some of the science terminologies. So we are looking at a situation where we will get all content in English translated into Gurene. Nelson Mandela once said that if you speak to a man in his own language, it goes into the heart. But if you speak to a man in a language he understands, it goes to the head. And another philosopher once said that whatever ingenuine thought that comes out of one's mind in a different language was first taught in his mother tongue. So which means that right now I am speaking English to the whole panel. I'm speaking English to the whole community here. But whatever I'm saying here was preconceived in Dagbani. And within a microsecond, I am able to translate that into English and get that voiced out. So it means that if we get the content into Gurene language, we are going to have students doing very well. Go to China, go to Russia, go to Germany, and you will find them very proficient, very exceptional in their educational system, not because they have studied English, but because they studied the whole content of education in their L1. In Dagbani, it will be very unfortunate for me to see two people coming. Then I'll say he is coming. I'll definitely say it in the proper sense with all the correct grammar. But when it comes to English, I would have to learn this in order to get that across. We are not saying we shouldn't learn English, but if we have the content in Dagbani, we are in Gurene, we are going to learn that faster. Imagine someone explaining a concept the teacher was struggling in class to put across. in your own language for you. You get it very faster than all the time the lecturer or the teacher wasted in the class. For example, a teacher can come to the class teaching a mathematical formula for more than an hour. Then after the lesson, a colleague will just explain that to you in your L1, that is in your mother tongue. And within 5, 10 minutes, you have grasped the whole concept. So if we can have content in our own language, go to school and study the English language, come back at home, then we can search on the internet to have Gurene Wikipedia and read the content in Gurene. We are going to be making exceptional grades in school, and we are going to now become thinkers. We are going to become innovators. We are going to become people who are actually out to do, but not people who are just born to speak huge words, big grammar. Let me use a Nigerian word, big grammar. When you speak, the roof begins shaking because you have used all the big words or the long words in English. So the roof will begin shaking. Meanwhile, when it comes to ingenuity, when it comes to innovation, we are nowhere to be found because we actually just committed it to memory what we learned in school, but we didn't get that into our hearts, like Nelson Mandela said. So basically, at the Gurene Wikimedia, we, at the Gurene Wikimedia community, we are born at digitizing the language on Wikipedia and on Wikidata. We want to get all items on Wikidata translated into Gurene because Wikidata is a multi-purpose or it's a multilingual platform where, let's say, if we have Ayire Adongo as the English label, this same English label could be replicated in all the 300 plus languages that we have. So we can create labels for all these. And again, we can create Wikipedia articles for all, Ayire Adongo in all the 300 plus languages and link them on one Wikidata item. So let's say Mr. Paul Azunre wants to read about Aire Adongo, let's say in Portuguese. He just scrolls to the bottom, then the Portuguese language is there. Then we have valuable cultural artifacts, the food we eat, our festivals, whatever that we do, our dance, our Zoom com. I want to taste that someday. I've not tasted it yet, but I've learned a lot about it. Like a lot of things that we can digitize. How do we digitize content of this? We'll take pictures of that. We'll take videos of that, how it is prepared, how we dance, how we celebrate our festival, and upload them on a free media repository platform called the Wikimedia Commons. On the Wikimedia Commons, we can digitize all the audios, we can digitize all the videos and all the pictures. Any multimedia file can be digitized. We have the wiki source where we can digitize some of the dictionaries and the books that Mr. Aida Dongo and his colleagues researchers are producing. We will digitize them on wiki source and on wiki books. We have Wikiversity where someday we can start a school on Gurene. So let's say I want to go and study uh, maybe bachelor degree in IT. Then we can have a complete bachelor degree course of IT in Gurene on Wikiversity for people to study. Maybe we want to learn about the plants and animal species that we have, those plants and animal species that is found worldwide. Then we want to get the names of these plants and animal species, their essence, what they are used for, their medicinal values. We want to learn and get them all in Gurune. Then on Wiki Species, we can digitize this. On look, Wikimedia projects have got the resources for us. Ours is just to get our hands dirty on the keyboard and start typing. Let's spend nights, days typing and digitizing our own language. And someday, somehow, we'll sit back and smile on our lazy chairs and say, oh, we're one of the people that got Guruni language online, and it shall live till eternity for generations yet unborn. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. And encouragement, and also a call to look forward to greater things and what we can do as of now. And the conversation about the bridge here with Adongo researching, documenting, and we as Wikipedians getting those resources, pushing them to the Wikipedia platform and its sister projects, and looking at other ways of digitizing what they have. Now we move on to the conversation about what about the other aspect of digitizing Gurene language. And we have Paul here with us, and Paul will be speaking to us from his perspective and from his area about digitizing the Gurene language. What has been your story so far?
I hope you can see me. Uh, for those who have the cameras on. So it's very nice to be here. Thank you for having me. And thank you
You're
for the
welcome.
nice introduction. So my perspective on this issue comes from a different angle. It is more of the algorithms and the machine learning side of things. So all the software that will ingest the data that you guys are creating and turn it into, let's say, Google Translate or Siri or another type of automation that will enable or help us interact with our technology in our native language. And of course, just to be complete, we can talk about advantages of doing that, right? Obviously, not all of us are educated as a people, are educated to understand English. It's not our language. Why should we even have to be educated in that language in order to interact with technology, right? So this is one of the reasons why people like to use WhatsApp voice notes so much, right? Because they can just speak their language
Mm-hmm.
and send it, and that person too can just play it, and they can hear it in Gurene, right? Instead of having to use another language. But the problem is that so far the technology that exists today, Google Translate, for instance, doesn't contain Gurene yet. Uh, they recently added Tree and some other Ghanaian languages, I think Ewe. But the pace of that progress is very slow. Uh, and I think in general, we can't expect sit around and wait for some giant technological company to come in and do this for us.
Yeah.
In fact, we may not want to that. Even if they offer it, we may not want that. And this is very important. This goes back to a conversation we had earlier about getting paid and volunteers and all that. I personally, Ghana NLP, the organization I co-founded, which has built Google Translate for Tree, Ewega, Dagbani now, and we also have Yoruba. So our ambition is to scale across all of Africa, but we are a Ghanaian first entity. So Ghana is what we care most about because Ghana has been ignored
Hmm.
so far. Why have the giants ignored us? Well, because if you look at the number of speakers of the languages, they don't feel they can make a profit. They're driven by profits, right? So if you look at the maximum number of speakers in Ghana for any language is what, maybe 20 million people for Tree, right? For Gurene, it's going to be what? It's not up to that, right? Less than 10 million, 5 million, maybe less.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, they care about that because once they build the technology, they need users. That's how they make money.
Yeah.
So if they can build a technology for 100 million like Yoruba, why would they build technology for 5 million people? They will rather invest in the 100 million, right? So they're driven by profits. And also, uh, which means we are never going to be a priority for them compared to the other languages. Now, the other part of it is, do we even want them owning that stuff? And I'll give you an example. Right now, the most extensive tree language database that you can find in the world is owned by University of Pennsylvania. Okay, if I want to use it, I have to go to University of Pennsylvania, which is an American company, pay them $10,000 or more for the right to use this data and continue paying them. And this is our language, right? Ghanaians should own this. And if anyone should be getting paid for using that data source in language bureau or something. But no, University of Pennsylvania is getting paid, which means American government is getting taxed, right? But not our country and our people, which is kind of twisted, right? When I think about it.
Yeah.
So as we build these things, we have to think about ownership very carefully. So for instance, I think Wikimedia is great, it's open, it makes it available to everyone. So that one is not an issue. But for instance, there's a lot of like Google has a way for you to contribute data for free to them.
Okay.
I think we need to build our own internal systems or like indigenous systems that own all the rights to everything we do. So that's what Ghana NLP does. We never give anybody rights. We don't take money from anybody and give up the rights. We own everything because we don't want to be in a position where some foreign entity is trying to dictate to us how our culture should be monetized and what is important and what isn't important. I hope I'm making sense.
Mm.
Um, so as far as our journey has been so far, we started Ghana NLP when we were building the translators. We started with 3 because the data for that was available compared to everybody else, all the other languages. And then with a year later, we made it all the way to Dagbani now. With regards to Gurene, Aire uh, gave me his dictionary, and I think I shared with the group how we try to break it down into a form that can be ingested by our models to create a translator. We only need about 10,000 high quality sentences, which means English in one column and then Gurene in the other column,
Mm-hmm.
corresponding translations for each sentence, right? So if we can get about 10,000 or 15,000 sentences, we can build Google Translates in about less than a week. We can have it out there. So our app is called Kaya. You can download it and use it. It has Dagbani in it already. It also has speech recognition, which means you can talk to it and to transcribe the text for you. In order to create that, you need audio and then text transcription. About 4 hours or 2 hours is even enough, but 4 hours is better of files of speech, which isn't that much. Um, so hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have Gurene added to Kaya. So stay tuned. Any questions?
Wow.
I hope I said something useful.
All right. Thank you so much. By the end of the year, and I know this commitment here will be for each and every person here, those who will listen to it, and those who later want to ask. So yes, we have just in the comment section, coming back. So we have Akaki really saying that I'm really proud of you, and Togo, and Adongo Imanayire says that was saying to Bishop Shutobu that it was really great to know your interest in helping your sister language to get digitized. We are truly grateful for your efforts. Kande Emmanuel says, great presentation by you, Shutobu. You are doing great. Mensa Richard Odunu says, good work done so far. Then Adongo Emmanuel Yire again says that well spoken Dr. Azun. I think I need to get this pronunciation right. Can you help me, Paul, with the said name again?
Azunre,
Okay.
just make sure to pronounce the N. That's it. That's
Oh,
how.
that's a trick. Okay. So we have
Yeah.
one from Amma Gilbert that says that with you guys all around us, there's still hope for the unborn generation. Then Akande Emmanuel says, really enjoying Paul's presentation. And Imabia Avalon, okay, was asking a question about the spelling of the Kaya. And so the right spelling is Khaya. That's the Kaya app. And the website to access it also is the translate.ghana.org. nlp.org. We will share this on the page, the Gurenɛ Wikimedia Community page, for everyone to get access to it and more of it. And Mabia Balu comes on to say thanks to all the speakers, really enlightened. Now we're just going to the final set. Now, if you have questions, if you want to ask any of the speakers, you can simply state it. Just notify me in the chat box so that yes, I just mention your name, then you just ask a question or have a contribution to make. Now, looking at the three speakers and from their perspective and the works they've done so far, we realize that there's a connection. There's something that runs through them. That means we start from somewhere, and everyone's work contributes to the other or builds on another one. Whilst Adongo Imanayire begins with the research, going on the ground, speaking to people, gathering the data and coming, Chitobo and the Wikimedia community goes on to pick those information, digitize it, and put it in the right form. Azure also comes in, takes the information, puts it in a way that is able to appeal to our senses, and also the audio form, the written form, and also even owning it and shaping it in a way that we have access to writing our own history in the manner in which we want. Now, the question here to Adongo Imanayira is that how do we support, or how can we support persons who are researching and developing books? What are some of the things that, when they are put in place, will be able to aid people who are also venturing to it? And are you open to people collaborating with you, joining hands to publish more works or to carry out other activities?
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Paul Azure, for that inspiring work that you are doing, which is what we all want. I think I'll use my experience to answer that question. And for my experience, it was better in terms of support. When I started writing around 98, I had an almost ready dictionary that could be published. And by then, we had the Ghana Institute of Linguistics Language and Bible Translation. The people who were behind it, they are called the Schiffers. They were at Zuarongo, around the VRA quarters. That's where they were located with their printing press. They had a printing press ready for their work. And we had some of our locals who were managing this. When I got to them about them helping me to publish, they were ready to publish about 50 copies for me, but it needed to be approved by some of our own. The Shepherds were wise, who were helping the Gilbert work in at Zorongo. Unfortunately, my own people refused to do it. I was a student by then at the Nurses Training College. What did I have? And by then, our allowance was around 27 Ghana cedis today. And that couldn't do anything. It was just enough to feed me in school, not beyond that. I couldn't even spare a cedi. And the guy refused to edit my work. So I couldn't, they couldn't publish it for me. So then I continued, but then I was highly motivated by Dr. Via Den, and then Monsignor Abotiyure, who gave me a lot of his papers and to write. So these are some of the supports that we can get. But unfortunately, it's like our own people, I don't know for what reason, people think that when you are writing, you are very rich. So, but unfortunately, that is not it. And another thing is that I started publishing from my research the Gurene calendar around 2000. And up to date, every year I publish Gurene calendars from the work that I did on the names of the months and then the names of the days of the week. You know, the Atalata and this thing, they are actually Arabic names. They are not even Hausa per se, they are Arabic. And then the Hausa adapted it from the Arabic because of the Muslim religion. So but I got to know that we had our own way of calling the names of our days, which I did a research from most of the chiefs and elders around our communities round. And then they gave me the lesson, which I first published in the book, revised in 2003, which was published subsequently in the calendars. So one interesting thing about the calendars is that the patronage, which is a way of support, is another thing because you realize that people don't pay more premium to that, which will enable them to even learn much about their own language. And I was selling them for how much? 1 CDs. But you realize that I have to struggle and go around, and then some of them will, those who would collect them to sell for me, some of them will sell and spend the money.
Oh,
And then you realize that people don't even want to buy. Up to now, this year's calendars are still in the hands of a lot of people, and they haven't even given me the money. So you realize that, and I'm selling it more like the production cost. Because when you print something like 4 CDs per one, and you are selling it at 5 CDs, and then you have to give a commission to the one selling, at the end of the day, what do you get? You understand? And then they don't even give you all the sales. People take it and they don't. So it doesn't encourage you to do more. So the support is the patronage. The patronage is one thing. So these are the issues we are confronted with. But in terms of collaboration, you realize that I have a lot of unpublished work. And I have a lot of unpublished work because I'm not getting any body who has the same self-motivation to develop the language, and then who are also interested in working on this. Because what does it pay to say that, oh, I did it alone, so that what will happen? You understand? It's just like-minded people to come together, have that same understanding, then we can develop our language. But because if it comes to the publication, only by His grace, I will be able to raise funds to publish it. But you won't even get the people to think like you to help you produce. Like I mentioned, you rightly mentioned in my introduction, I have a book on Proverbs. There are more than 1,000 Gurene Proverbs. And I have a book on the anatomy and physiology I mentioned. And this one, another thing I needed is an artist who can develop the images. I don't want to pick it because of copyright. So that I will develop them so that we can name them and then edit and come out with the book. The first aid book was a hard copy. I can't even find it now. First aid solely in Gurene, how to manage headache and all that, all in Gurene. And I have the book on the names and their meanings in Gurene and corresponding names in Gurene, which somebody said was very interested. I have the male names, male and then female names. Like when you take John, what is the meaning in Gurene? And then what is the meaning in English in that order? So, and that's a very good book. And I developed this because For instance, I'm a Christian, like a Catholic. Uh, no one, even the Pope, did not say that we should name our people with the Christian or English names. So we can actually name the people. You can name somebody Atanga. I mean, baptize the person as Atanga. You don't have to take a name like Peter because the corresponding name in Gurene is Atanga or Akugre. Why must you baptize and change your name to Peter? Nobody said that. And then it is also said names follow their owners, and it is part of our culture. Why should we adapt a foreign culture and be naming our peoples in that language? And what I mean, does it mean your language is not correct? Does it mean your culture is bad? So that is part of demeaning ourselves. So I produce this so that want to name their children, they will know the meaning and they can name their children in their own destiny, baptize them accordingly, and not take on foreign names. So this is what's behind the book I did on the names, their meaning in Gurene and in English, their corresponding names in Gurene, so that we can get good names. So this is it. So if anybody, I'm of course open to collaboration. If anybody wants to join, and then we can do this, why not?
Okay.
So this is it.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much. This is it. A call for people to support. A call for unity and understanding the work that goes into writing books, digitizing the language, and all that. And I think we all agree that whilst we have challenges in accessing these resources, the ones that are available also are produced at a high cost. That if we really want to push the agenda to say that we want to digitize our language, then we should also look at how best we can support the researchers. I would normally call him a researcher because his work basically is researching and writing and documenting all these things. And anyone at all that's out there doing much, I know Madia Valom was also doing some research work and documenting other things. And that means that there are other community members who are also writing and looking at how best they can also complement the existing knowledge on our language and our people as a being. So it's also on us to find out other avenues that we can also bring to them and connect them to assist in their work. And Shitobu, your final words at as we are drawing and to the end of our virtual session today. Okay, Shitobu is still pending. Then, so from any of our members, we have a contribution to make. If you have a question to ask, any comment to share, kindly use the chat box and let me know. So we just bring you in so you share a few thoughts with us. We're going to Dr. Azore.
So what? Yeah. So while that happens, I wanted to echo what my colleague was saying. The
Mm-hmm.
biggest challenge is funding. It's
Okay.
always that's always the challenge. It costs money. It costs money to run the computers. It costs money to create the data. It costs money to publish the findings. Unfortunately, in Ghana, our government doesn't really prioritize uh, this kind of research, unfortunately. So we have to look for creative ways to fund the research. Um, so let's think about innovative ways we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
What we are trying to do at Ghana NLP is to monetize the app. So the app that we are building,
Mm-hmm.
we provide a way for people to purchase a subscription. And then we also have like an API that maybe a business that's trying to build a language learning app or something, they can use it in their product and pay us anytime they call the API. So we are looking at ways like that, and hopefully, hopefully, when we start doing that, then we can pay data people or data researchers like IRE for the data they generate, and so they can be actually paid, and they can also invest that into the the publishing and all of that. And of course, all of this will take our entire ecosystem uh, contributing, right? Hopefully, we can pressure or ask our government to maybe contribute something to this line of research. We need people lobbying for that. We need businesses who are going to start using our technology so that they can then pay us to generate more of the data, right, and so on. So it's a complex problem, but I think we'll get there.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's a complex problem. We'll surely get there and we'll surely find our way to the top. Thank you so much for being with us this evening in this virtual discussion about digitizing the Gurene language, the journey so far. And we had it from Adongo sharing his thoughts and telling us how it came to be, how the Gurene dictionary came to be, from his end, then influencing other projects, influencing other books. And he shared about his unpublished books. And I'm going back to them again. That Mr. Adongo has several unpublished books. One of them, or let me say, there are six of them. So we have the Gurene proverbs, we have the anatomy or and physiology in Gurene, we have the names and their meaning in Gurene and English, we have the numerical system in Gurene and English, we have the third edition of the Gurene English Dictionary. Then we have the Catholic hymnal in Gurene. These are unpublished works. So we are looking forward to these ones being released one after the other, and I'm sure it will really influence and even assist us in understanding the language, getting to know more. Let us guide and protect each other. Let's look at opportunities and connecting them, just as the speakers mentioned about the funding, about commitment, about being passionate about the language. Whatever opportunities are available, in whatever way that we can support them, in whatever way we can support the community, let us push together and let us see how best we can do that. And if you can also assist in your own small way, your own community, why don't you look at how best you can write about yourself? So here in the case that you are from a particular community, and it's so small, you can decide to document about your community. Then you can reach out to Adongo, you can reach out to Dr. Azura, you can reach out to Shitobu, you can reach out to any of the members here. Mabia Avalum, which I also know you're doing some research. Akakiri is also there. We have lots of people, Kande, and no others, doing their own bit in researching other things. So when you're able to document in your own small way and you reach out to them, they will also see how best they can add it to their system, improve on it. Just as Adongo mentioned, that it's not about a one man seeking glory, but as a communal effort and looking at it as a collective, we'll be able to do something much better. Yes, we need this togetherness, and this will help us and to move forward and to achieve the goal of digitizing our language, our people. And it will be nice if we all move into our ancestry and then know that posterity will rely heavily on our work to understand themselves better, even in terms of food, in medicine, and any other aspect of their life. And I'm sure this is going to be a long way. And yes, it's going to be a long journey, but we'll surely get there. And there'll be a lot of improvements by the end of the year. And I really like Dr. Azuri's comments on him being optimistic that by the end of the year, we'll be adding Gurene to the Kaya app. The Kaya app is spelled as Khaya. So we're looking at that, and that will heavily rely on the amount of data that we've been able to gather. So let's put our hands together and let's see what we can do in our own small way. Thank you so much and
I
succeed.
think I have a question.
All right, we want to hear from you, Shito.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you to uh, Mr. Paula Zore. In fact, I really enjoyed your presentation. more especially the part of the machine learning. So I just want to ask, what do we as a community have to do to facilitate the digitization, so to speak, your way of training the AI machines using the words we getting? So what do we have to do at our level to help
Uh,
you?
yeah, for that question, I've actually posted these details in our chats. I need about 15,000 sentences, translated sentences, covering every walk of life. And maybe we'll chat afterwards, and I can show you the Dagbani data that we used for training, just so you understand. But in the Gurene Wikipedia group, I will repost it again so you can see it. But I've already included all the details. So just 15,000 sentences for the text translator, and about 4 hours of speech that has been transcribed into Gurene for the speech recognition. So
Okay,
from,
okay,
for instance, the Ninkari dialect across the border in Burkina Faso, there's a dictionary, a very big dictionary. So, and it's very close to our language. One way would be taking that and like correcting it for our dialect, and then
okay,
adding it to Adongo's dictionary, which is about 1,000 to 2,000 sentences, maybe 1,500, something like that. So we will need to collect a few sources like that. Maybe the Wikipedia translations that have already been done, we can add those. I don't know how many.
okay.
Yeah,
So I think we have a project underway. We want to, just like in the Dagban Wikimedia Community, how we recorded the over 4,000 words that Mr. Sadiq shared with you. We also want to do a voice recording of at least 3,000 to 4,000 words and sentences in Gurene,
yeah,
so that we can push once we upload that on Commons.
yeah. It will help a lot. I just wanted to say that the Dagbani speech recognition right now, it only works on single words because the only input was single words,
Yes,
right? So
we did it on only single
right,
words, but we are trying to now work on phrases, clauses,
excellent.
and sentences.
That will help a lot.
So I'll be more than happy if you can add me to the Dagbani part of the LLP, the NLP, and
I'll
I think
definitely.
I can contribute there a lot because that is the language I speak more.
Awesome. I will definitely
All
add
right,
you.
thank you so much.
Shitobu, we understand you. All right.
So I actually have to run, go pick up my kid from school now. So
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
please, if
Oh,
anyone has
okay.
any questions, please, you have my WhatsApp number. So just text at me and I'll respond. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
We are going to bed and you are going to pick up kids from
Yeah.
school. Time difference. It's understandable.
Okay. Thank you so much for all joining. And if there are no concerns, we bring this meeting to an end. Thank you so much, speakers, Mr. Adowo Emmanuel
Yeah,
and
I think
Mr.
Tina wanted to say
Oh,
something.
okay. Akakiri, yes, yes, Akakiri. Can you unmute? I had not scrolled down again, so my chat was still at the last one as for Azoda when he posted. Sorry. Yes.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate and I thank the presenters from the wonderful presentation given out this evening. I was really touched when Mr. Adongo spoke about the negligence of duty or the enviness that he sent out works for people to see, but his own people or our own people,
rather turn down those works and up to date. They are not published, but they are good materials to also support the work of our language. To be frank, this our Frafra tribe or the Gurene tribe. In fact, that enviness is in us. We always have like that one like, if not me, no one else, and that is too bad. I'm happy we are coming with different dimension, like a teamwork, but we don't value that. People are seeing his angle as a medical person, and he's now so interested into the language. So people are now like envying him, like if we are into the language and we are not doing this, and he's really doing, that means he's taking credit, leaving us, and that is the only thing, and that is too bad. And the political aspect that he spoke about, in fact, I was too touched. We are in the system, and that is what is happening day in, day out, and that is too bad. And I think the new generation coming up will not kowtow with that our elderly works, that if not me, no one else. That will be too bad in our culture aspect. I don't think our forefathers taught us to be that. That be envy and that greedy thing. At least we have to support and to develop. At the end of the day, it will be Gurene. It will not be Adongo alone. Though his works will be a reference to him, but it will be Gurene.
Mm-hmm.
If today you can imagine this Shogu is even here trying to help us digitize the language. See, Paul, they're not the natives of the language. They're not speaking the language yet. They're the fourth leading people doing the work. So if you are to say, if not me, no one else. In fact, that aspect of our attitude need to be changed. And I think the youth coming up should learn a lesson out of it. But going forward, I think we can do a good job. We can do a good job. I'm really
Thank you.
grateful. And thanks
Thank you.
to the host, Dan, for the good work doing done.
Thank you so much. And we appreciate that contribution. Looking forward to the unity and togetherness and working and carrying our project. And I think so. I think I've come back to the updated session about the comments. So I think I keep ending and then coming back to restart the conversation. I think it's an unending one. So Elisha says that he really missed a lot from that while and that we are on track and he's proud to be part of this team. Kande Emmanuel says you're a resource person for some of us who are students of Gurene. And I don't know who he's referring to, but I'm sure it might be Adongo Ayire. I don't know which one he's referring to, but I'm sure it might mostly be Adongo Ayire because of his Gurene dictionary. It's been a lot of help to us. We also have the patients also saying that wow, thanks so much. And Akakiri, okay, coming to contribute, and Akande showing solidarity that he's ready to contribute. And Shitobu also reiterating Akakiri's point on looking at it not from individualistic, but then looking at it as a communal effort in digitizing our language. It's been an hour and a half conversation about Gurene, and it seems that there aren't people interested in language or there aren't people doing much. But even this alone means that there's a lot of activity, there are a lot of activities ongoing, and people within their own small space are trying to do something. But then here we are looking at having a coordinated effort and connecting what people are doing to each other so that we're able to develop something much more formidable. That in the near future, we have the names, we have so many things explained to us. Mostly, we have conversation about our history, about understanding who we are, what are the arts, what are we made of, and we can only better tell our story when we document them and people have access to them. Let's look at how best we can work together. And I'm sure there are other people carrying out research work that you can also look into. And let's continue keeping our guard and projecting our culture, projecting who we are, and standing for what is right, and being able to lead each other to the greater heights. And I think this will be the final call here to say thank you so much for joining today's session. And it's a pleasure to host all of you here. And let's get back into the incubator. Let's keep editing on Wikipedia. Let's keep contributing analysis. And let's keep documenting one way or the other. We also had, we unfortunately I couldn't reach out to a gentleman who had also created a Gurene dictionary app, and he's worked on something like that. Next time, we'll also get him involved to hear from his side about what has been his work so far and what are some ways that we can improve on. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks to everybody and congratulations to us all. I really appreciate your presence. God bless you all.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Have a good night and good night to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Bugre, for the good moderation. God bless you. I know it's raining heavily in Accra.